Afternoon. As I always say, I love the sound of fellowship and people interacting and visiting with each other. But to be cognizant of the taxpayers' time, it is 1 p.m., so we will call this meeting to order. Would Sasha please call the roll?
Senator Boswell, Senator Funky Fromeyer, Senator Gardler, Senator Harper Angel, Senator Howell, Senator Mills, Senator Storm, Senator Thomas, Senator Wheeler,
Here.
Senator Wilson,
Here.
Representative All,
Here.
Representative Baker,
Here.
Representative Dotson,
Here.
Representative Pfister,
Here.
Representative Frazier Gordon, Representative Freeland,
Present.
Representative Fugit, Representative Heath,
Here.
Representative Cole Carney,
Present.
Representative Lawrence, Representative Maddox, Representative Massaroni,
Here.
Representative McPherson,
Here.
Representative Pollock,
Here.
Representative Roberts,
Here.
Representative Stalker,
Present.
Representative Tackett Lafferty, Representative Tate, Representative Timoney, Representative Truitt, Representative Wesley, Representative White, Representative Wilson, Representative Witten, Co-Chair Wise, Co-Chair King,
Present.
Co-Chair Pratt.
And we do have a quorum. May I have a motion to accept the last minutes, please?
Motion to accept the last minutes.
And a second? Second. All in favor of approving last month's minutes, please say aye. Aye. Thank you very much. Those are passed. I would like to take a moment and say that Representative Sean McPherson is a very trusted and smart colleague. We have been discussing for several months, even back into the 2024 session, of what would be a good agenda set of items to cover in September. So he has created and asked folks to come in and give some reports, and we will get some updates. I do think, correct me if I'm wrong, Representative McPherson, do we need to reverse the order of folks attending?
Yes, I think if
You push
Steve
your button?
Yes, if Steve and Ms. Byrd would come up, Judge Byrd, I think if they would come up first, we would appreciate that.
Okay, very good. If you would please introduce yourselves for the record. We've been looking forward to the update from your area, and I will let or ask Representative McPherson to lead the questions on these, but please introduce yourselves for the record. And please
Thank you, Madam
proceed.
Chair. Steve Riley, State Representative, 23rd District.
And Jamie Bewley Byrd, the Barren County Judge Executive.
So I would just say before we get started, we might question the chair's judgment if she calls me smart and whatever, but I and trusted. I hope I can get the trusted part right. So really, I'd ask Judge Byrd to come up. You know, we share in Allen and Barren County, in my district 22 and Steve's district, we share Barren River Lake. You know, it kind of splits the counties there, and it's so important for our economic development in that area and the growth of our counties and our whole districts. And so, you know, we've continued to want to see the Barren River State Park kept up well, and we know how important it is. And I just thought I asked the judge if she would be willing to come up and speak to that, and Steve's going to come with her, of course, Representative. Before we get started with that, Steve has his lovely wife, Lisa, with him today. We'd like to recognize her.
Lisa.
So with that said, the floor is yours. Take it away.
Well, first off, thank you for inviting me up. Thank you all for in putting me on the agenda. I come as representative of Barren County, Barren County Judge Executive, but I also grew up in Barren County. I grew up 1 mile from Barren River State Park. My father was actually the golf pro there for the longest time, and you know, some of my best childhood memories are at Barren River State Park. And you know, it in the past, I would say, I can't see the exact years, but it's been not just in the last 4 years. It's been a period of time. It's been things just continually cut, whether it's the mowing, the amount of mowings that are cut, or the staff, or the repairs to the building. It just has continually went down. It's a struggle for me as county judge now because I know how great Barren River State Park can be and how it can be involved in the community, and we can use that as a resource to draw people to our area. And, we have wonderful events at the state park that bring people there from all over. But and I know that sometimes our parks were also set up too for like our state events and our, conferences, et cetera, to help with, the hotel lodge. I've even heard like of our events that have been held at the park for years not being held there anymore because of things. And so I'm not here to say that it's the Frankfurt's fault or it's the legislature's fault or Senate's fault. There's some disconnect because, I would love to see an investment in our park because I think it is a huge asset to our state government to have in our local communities, these parks, because there are people like us that's their vacation. That's, they're not going to go on these lavish vacations. These are sometimes the vacation they get. And this summer, the state park, the pool, it was never open at the state park this summer. I know that sometimes too, Mr. Myers has been wonderful to work with in regards to just reaching out. I had a connection to him, didn't know that when I was having some frustrations with Barren River State Park. And I reached out to him, said, hey, what's going on at Barren River State Park? Representative was on the phone with us too. We wanted him to understand, we're willing to support any investment into Barren River and we'll promote it and get people there to make sure it is a valuable investment. And he brought the whole crew down. We talked about Barren River State Park and ways to, things that need to be done, things that need to be fixed, even partnerships I would be entertaining opportunities between the county and state governments and I even talked to Allen County Judge as well. We'd be interested in, doing some projects even together, and that would be a benefit to our community members that could take, ability to use those. They've been great to work with. I do think that the problem, though, and I talked to Mr. Myers about this, is just like with AOC. I deal with AOC on our courthouse. Like when I have a repair at our courthouse, I can do the RFP. I can do the bidding process. I have, I'm able to do that at a local level. And that contractor is there within our area. So they're going to do good work because they have to be in our area. The problem, I think, in our parks is the procurement process, and this is just my opinion, because you're having contractors get these jobs that are nowhere from near that area. And, I think an example during COVID, they had a contractor from Tennessee replace the roof and it was put on backwards. And they had to come back and put it back on again. That was during the busiest season of the park, the summer. And so, it's just little stuff like that. I wish I'm offering as a county, and I know Allen County would do the same thing, but Barren River is located in Barren County, to do whatever we can to help with this process. I do it like I said, with every project with AOC. If there's a problem with the courthouse, I do the bidding process for the courthouse. And AOC, they go through the approval of that project. We give them the bids. If they want to proceed with it, they give us the go-ahead. The money is funneled through Barren County to take care of that project. I know I just talked to somebody. I don't know if it's the easiest saying that is the way to do it, but that is just an option that we would have, opportunities to also invest in our local contractors, because there's not many local contractors that are certified licensed contractors that get to do work even at our Barren River State Park. So.
Thank you. I'll make a few comments. I think most of you on here know how important our state parks are to us. I know that at Barren River State Park, we are within 30 miles of Mammoth Cave. We're within 20 to 25 miles of the Corvette Museum. It's a great destination place for a vacation. And as Judge Bird mentioned, a lot of people, that's the best vacation they can afford, is something like that. And so when you don't have your facilities up to date for whatever reason, then it makes it more difficult for them to want to stay there and to do that long process. It is very important to the economic vitality of Barren County and Allen County, and to some degree Warren County, for our state park to be vibrant. I know that Senator Wise and Representative Pollack have Green River State Park, which is important to their areas, and many of you, especially in the Eastern Kentucky and other areas of the state, have state parks that are vital to your economic interests in your community. And we feel that the same way about Barren River. So when we lose time for various reasons, whatever it may be, I mean, can you imagine you're going to Barren River State Park and you've got 3 teenagers, and you get there and you find out the pool's not open? You know, that those things are kind of devastating for families. So we want to do what we can to work with the state parks and their and commissioner and everybody else to make our state park vibrant. But we also want that for state parks throughout the Commonwealth of Kentucky, because as I mentioned, those are vital to the economic vitality of our communities, and we really need those to be up to date and in working order, especially in the months of May, June, July, August, when many people go to our state parks and visit for those reasons. So we're here for that reason. We're not here to condemn anybody. We're not in here to criticize anybody. We just want people to understand that this is very vital to our area, but I think it's also very vital to your areas. And that's the reason that we're here today.
So if I could just add to that, the reason that I asked maybe just to be brought to the forefront was that I also got calls from some of my constituents, because I have a number of them that are employed over there. And, you know, so they were flustered that they were, I guess, being sent home. They have a chiller, I think, over there in the dining area, which is rented, I think, if that's the correct way of saying all that it's a rented central heat and air unit, and it's been out most of the year, and when the humidity gets to be about 80 or 90%, it won't keep up in there, and then they have to shut it down, and they shut it down kind of, you know, just at odd times, and you, like you say, you go there, like, so my family and I, we can be there in 15 minutes from church, and we'll go there on Sunday afternoons and eat lunch there and different things. And so when I did go over, and I just kind of cold called and walked in one day and asked the staff there and some of them if I could just speak to this a little bit with them, and they were super, super nice and super, super supportive. But they were telling me a few things that just brought frustration, and again, the pool not being open all year. And I think it was on the line item agenda, and Commissioner, correct me if I'm wrong, that it was to be done with this $150 million that we did appropriate over the last 2 years. And they said that their occupancy was about 97% until they found out the pool was not going to be there, and it was dropped to about 77%. And then some of this renovation that had taken place during 2020, I think, to the lodge and the rooms, they said that, you know, they had about 17 rooms that continued to have mold in them, and they couldn't occupy them, and they were calling back the same contractors that had put the roof on wrong and had caused the mold to be there to try to mediate the problem, and they just kept saying they had it fixed, and within a week or two they were reporting mold again, and they continued to not be able to utilize those 17 rooms. And again, that's just, you know, this is the 100th anniversary of our state park system. They are vital to us. You know, I grew up having my graduation parties over there. You know, junior senior banquet was there. You know, we've all got a history with that area there, and this one. And then we know that scatters all over the state, and we've got the state park system all over the state that we depend on as such a vital part of our economic drive. So again, we want to be a partner is what we want to do, and this is not, like I say, to beat up on anything. This is just to bring light to some of the issues that we have, and let's see how we can work together to get those things changed and get this moving forward. So that's kind of my spiel to that also.
Yeah, the commissioner has been good about, we've had phone conversations with him. He came to Barren River State Park to meet with us one time. So we've had communications. Where the disconnect is as far as things getting fixed in a timely manner, whether it be something that like the judge suggested, but we've got to speed up this process so that we don't waste time for people to have an opportunity to go visit our parks. And it's, you know, when you have communities the size of Glasgow and Scottsville, like many of your communities, if you miss out on dollars from this, it's a big hit to your community. So we just want to try to get to work with everybody and get the process expedited.
So have any questions? Have any questions from anybody?
Representative McPherson is exactly right. We have such a large roster for this joint interim committee. And of course, the tourism is the official jurisdiction for session for those members, so I felt it was important to get that in front of everyone, kind of in our homework vein. And to the public, we are already working on the 2026 budget, so just taking in this type of information is vitally important as we go forward. We do have some additional questions. Senator Wheeler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I guess this kind of question kind of goes to what you talked about, the roof being put on incorrectly and some bad workmanship. I know the last couple of sessions I've met with some of the building trades folks that have and worked on a misclassification bill with them. They've described to me some situations where, and this wasn't a big deal as much when we had a prevailing wage where you had to pay everybody the same. But since that has been removed, that some of these contractors working on state projects will literally bring in an entire crew of undocumented workers or things like that to do drywall and certain projects like this that lead to less than good results on the outcome. And in some cases, they're not even, on the payroll for purposes of comp, which if one gets hurt, then that falls back on us, the taxpayers, to the uninsured employers fund and things like that. Do you believe that if we were to tighten up the regulations on some of these contractors and force them to hire more locals and people within the community, that could remediate some of the problems that you experienced in your renovation of the state park?
Well, one thing I'll comment to that is, Senator Wheeler, don't you think the people that are from your community take greater pride in your community than people from outside?
Absolutely.
So do I.
I mean, we recently just started the Barren County Contractors Association, so we do have a valid group now that would be licensed, that have validated their license, their workers' comp, work history. So we do have another means to have to pull from as well. So I mean, honestly, like he said, I think people would take greater pride, and also when you have people driving from Tennessee to do the work, it just you're talking with the travel time, and it takes forever to get some of these projects done.
Okay, thank you.
Senator Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Excuse me. I just want to join Representative Riley and Judge Byrd, and thank you for bringing this today, because Warren County is the fastest growing county, fastest growing city, and I've lived there for 31 years. And all of those 31 years, I mean, our kids grew up over there, friends, boats and houseboats over there. I mean, it's used extensively by people from Warren County. The campgrounds, we've camped in the campgrounds all these years. And it is a treasure for us in our area. And I'll mention one more thing. You're probably very familiar with Hillview Heights Church, Pastor Steve Ayers. Mm-hmm. When I first moved there, they dismissed the church, and they had all week-long services at Barren Lake and Barren State Park. And they actually had baptismal services on Sunday morning there at the lake, and they've done it for all the past 30 years that I've been there. And it's amazing, and it's one of the largest, if not the largest, church in Bowling Green. Mm-hmm. So that's a whole lot of people coming over there that are exposed to that, that some that are new that have never been there before, but I guarantee you they start going there after that. And so this is very, very important to our community, and I really appreciate you guys bringing it today. Thank you.
Thank you. And, think with people coming, making have consistent, times of when the restaurant is open and all these things. These things matter because, you want your community and you want your surrounding counties to have trust in the park and to know when those, are going to be available because, like you said, after church, that's where people go and then people get married there and all these things. Those things have really slowed down in the last it's not, again, this is not just in the last 3 or 4 years. This has happened over a period of time. And I would just love to see an investment made into our parks.
Next summer, come and visit, go to Mammoth Cave, rent a boat on Barren River State Park, go to the Corvette Museum. You have a good time. Spend money in Barren County as much as you can.
The best fireworks show in the state.
Wonderful advice.
Yeah. Well, another thing too to think about that community involvement. So the fireworks, and I know other state parks do the same thing. The fireworks are paid privately, and supported by private groups and ran by volunteers. The county's been very involved with that as well. So I mean, we'll do everything we can to make sure that the state park continues to thrive, or hopefully gets back to where it used to be.
Representative Roberts.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Thank you for the presentation today. And I know we've got the parks coming up after this, so I'm sure they're going to have a lot of these same points. I just want to say that not only is this a great way for Kentuckians to vacation, but our state parks are such an amazing opportunity for us to entice people to come visit Kentucky. And one of the best ways to get people to move here is to get them to visit here. So I think our parks are not only such a huge public service, but they're also an economic driver and part of our economic development plan for the state. And I just want to remind us all that not too long ago, we had the opportunity to make some pretty serious investments in our parks, and those investments were broken into several buckets, and many of those buckets were not voted on, and it felt at the time very political and very strategic, and I think that's led to some of this deferred maintenance that we are having to deal with and some of the increased costs, because if we'd fixed some of these things 2 or 4 years ago when we had those opportunities, the costs for those repairs might be lessened now. So as we move forward, I'm really heartened to hear everybody on this committee talk so friendly about our parks, so favorably about our parks, and I hope that in our future budgetary conversations we will all remember that and fight tooth and nail for this amazing resource that we should be giving to our public. Thank you.
Thank you. I do believe everyone, pardon me, on this committee and the General Assembly wide love our state parks, and especially the ones that we have in our own districts. But at the same time, we also want to make sure we're being fiscally responsible with the taxpayer dollars and overseeing those properly. This may be a question for the next group, but do you all know, were the taxpayers held harmless in the replacement of that roof? Were those folks bonded? Surely it wasn't a double payment on getting that done.
That's not a question.
I don't know.
I wasn't involved in that. I was an observer in that situation. But yeah, no, I don't know the answer.
Okay,
sorry.
I'll hold on to that question. Senator Funky Fromeyer.
I'm so grateful for this conversation, and I love your energy in being our county executive and your commitment to the state park in your county. I'm a mom of 6 kids, and we love our Kentucky state parks. What I will tell you is not once did I get a free pass. So I always paid full price when I arrived. I thought I always paid a fair price, whether I rented a boat or anything. So the taxpayers should not be bearing the burden of these beautiful facilities. There are many, quite often, sold out campgrounds. So I am very eager to see a committed fiscally responsible approach to the parks. Your commitment and your desire to bring local leadership to a state asset and a state resource is wonderful. Probably not the first. I bet many of our counties would love that. So really hopeful to know how we can reduce that friction and perhaps allow some of that collaboration, and perhaps we'll hear that from Russ coming next. But I get a little anxious when I hear the amount that the taxpayers spend, but the fact is we pay for those when we use those parks, and those parks are used by people all over the nation. Less and less, I will tell you, that I saw in the last year compared to 8 years ago. But the parks are in much worse repair. I'm embarrassed. Sadly, I've invited a lot of friends to our state parks, and they're getting worse and worse. So I think we do need a high level of accountability, and I'm looking forward to hearing how we can support both accountable and dollars and charge appropriately so we can keep these assets in their top shape.
And I really try. I look at this approach like I do in Barren County. Any investments that I'm doing, as long as they can bring back in to cover, and I do think any investment you do, you're going to get the return on that, because you're going to get more customers. You're going to get people to support it. And as long as you have, like I said, as a county, we're going to do everything we can. But as long as that investment returns, that's all that needs to happen. I mean, really, that's the way I look at investments from a state and county level. And I do think the investment would pay back.
Well, once again, I would like to thank Representative Richard White for helping us focus on his area in July when we kind of did this same thing with his area, and Representative McPherson today in our September meeting. That is all of the questions we have. Do you have any closing questions, Representative McPherson?
No, I just appreciate you all coming up and bringing light to this. You know, it was something that my constituents in Allen County were calling me about, and I know your all's were, Steve's were, and Barren, and so I appreciate the judge coming up and taking her time and her day to come up and testify. And again, just want to be a collaborative effort and to bring the state forward, and we're going to do our part in our area to do that, and I know everybody across the state will do so. So I appreciate your time.
Yes. Thank you all for having us.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thank you all for being here. We will call our next presenters up with the Kentucky State Parks and an update from these fine folks. So we look forward to having you all with us as well. As was already mentioned, we're celebrating our 100th anniversary of Kentucky State Parks, and you all, well, there it is on your graphic, the very first slide. So that's wonderful. We appreciate you being here with us today. Representative McPherson will probably advise you to make sure your microphone is on and introduce yourself for the record.
Yes, just do that if you will, and appreciate you coming today. Appreciate you being willing to do that, and the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you all very much, Madam Chair. And, it's been a lot of fun working with you over the years, and I appreciate the opportunity here to share with you in our 100th anniversary of Kentucky State Parks some good information about what's going on with the projects and the monies that you all have invested, and we're starting to reinvest in our state park. So it's exciting. Want to thank Judge Byrd for being here today, and Representative Riley and McPherson for being here today and speaking on behalf of Parks. That was great to hear, and thank you all for your interest. As they said, we've had community meetings down there with Representative Riley, Judge Byrd, the superintendent of schools, and many of our leadership staff, and to express, what we're doing at that park to reinvest in it and take interest in those items that we have to take care of at Barren River. It's a special park and a gym, and we don't take any of those issues lightly, and we're excited about the future there. First, I'd like to introduce our team here. I have Miss Anita Hatchett. She is our Executive Director of Public Affairs with the Tourism Cabinet. Mona Jewett is with us today, our Chief of Staff for the Tourism Cabinet. Ron Vanover, Deputy Commissioner of Parks. Many of you all know Ron. Mike Swatzina is here with us today. He's Director of Facilities for Kentucky State Parks. Charles Higginbotham, he's an Executive Director with the Tourism Cabinet. Melissa Brewer is Director of Finance with the Tourism Cabinet, and Mike Hammond is a Facilities Director supporting Mike Swatzina and that team. So we've got all our team here that's been working on these projects, and we're excited to give this report. So anyways, good afternoon to you all. On behalf of the Kentucky Department of Parks and the Tourism, Arts, and Heritage Cabinet, we want to thank you for the opportunity to be here today to discuss our progress on the $150 million you all appropriated to update and improve our Kentucky State Parks. In addition, I'd like to thank each of you. In the past, our parks construction branch only had the authority to work on projects up to $250,000. During the last session, you changed that limit to $500,000, which allows parks to complete additional projects by using our staff instead of contracting with outside companies. Please know that Kentucky Department of Parks is very appreciative of the allocation of the $150 million that the General Assembly approved, which includes $79 million that was released in 2023 and $71 million that was released in 2024. As you will see in our slide presentation today, we have made great strides moving forward with those monies for the betterment of parks operations. We have been working diligently with the Finance Cabinet's Department of Engineering and Contract Administration by meeting twice a week to facilitate and streamline these projects. As a reminder, the main projects approved are the following: $40 million for campground upgrades, $20 million for utility improvements, $6 million for broadband upgrades, $7.5 million for Lake Barkley structural issues, $5.5 million for Jenny Wiley structural issues, $27 million for building system improvements, $22 million for accommodation hospitality upgrades, and $22 million for recreational amenities upgrades. Next slide. The first half of the presentation will focus on the $79 million, focused on campground, utility, broadband, and structural updates and improvements. Most of the projects funded from the $79 million require design work to be followed by the issuance of an RFP for construction, contractor selection, and contract award. Campground upgrades total $40 million. Kentucky State Parks consist of 30 campgrounds across our state. Several parks bathhouse renovations projects have been completed at Barren River and Nolin Lake State Parks. Many of the other park projects will start in late fall and winter at a time when camping is in its slower season. This allows parks to accommodate our customers and guests and also produce revenues. Campground upgrades west. We broke these projects down into east and west, so I'll give you the western version first. Campground projects in the western Kentucky include campground redesigns, lake site and camper cottage additions, new camp store constructions, and more. Significant campground projects will take place at several Kentucky state parks. Ken Lake State Resort Park will receive a major renovation to campground sites, including new premium Lakeview sites with full service connections and a new bathhouse. My Old Kentucky Home State Park will receive major campsite renovations and a new bathhouse. Campground upgrades east. Highlights of these. Our eastern campground projects involve installations of water and electric lines, adding sewer to sites, improving living spaces, and paving campgrounds, among other initiatives to enhance guest experiences. Carter K's bathhouse and campground store will be fully replaced. Cumberland Falls Clifty bathhouse will be renovated, and a new ADA-approved restroom shower addition will be built adjacent to the current bathhouse. We'll move into utility improvements. Utility improvements total $20 million. Kentucky State Parks is currently partnering with the Energy and Environmental Cabinet on a federal matching grant that totals almost $17 million. This grant is focused on making significant upgrades to the electrical infrastructure at Ken Lake and Kentucky Dam State Resort Parks. This grid resiliency project includes right-of-way clearing, pole replacement, and updates to transformers. Wastewater improvements. This slide highlights the collection system, piping, and sewer lift station repairs and upgrades to various state parks. E.P. Tom Sawyer State Park, Barren River Lake State Resort Park, Natural Bridge State Resort Park, and Cumberland Falls were prioritized for design. Broadband upgrades. Broadband upgrades total $6 million. The Department of Parks has established 15 new projects for Wi-Fi at the campgrounds. The Commonwealth Office of Technology is our lead for all of these projects. Broadband upgrades. Guest Wi-Fi projects at Carter Caves and Dale Hollow campgrounds are complete. Construction for the guest Wi-Fi project at Paintsville Lake is in progress. We expect completion in late October, early November. High-speed fiber internet is on order for Fort Boonesboro and General Butler campgrounds. All other campgrounds have high-speed internet or will receive upgraded internet as a part of these projects. Parks is working closely with the Commonwealth Office of Technology on every one of these projects. COT is working on a schedule for the remaining campgrounds. COT is also working to accelerate the completion of the schedule by contracting the planning and design of each location. Lake Barkley Emergency Structural Repairs. Lake Barkley State Resort Park emergency repairs total $7.5 million. Phase 1 of Project 1 focuses on Lake Barkley Lodge structure repairs, which is complete. Work included replacing the column bases of the 8 columns at the back porch, replacing the concrete stairs at the back porch, and miscellaneous concrete repairs. Lake Barkley Phase 2 structural repairs project has been awarded. Work will include lodge stair and column replacement. Construction documents are in progress for Phase 3. Work includes lodge wings, canopies, roof replacement. Existing bank retaining structure will be replaced with new terraced retaining walls. Roof and lower drainage issues will be addressed, and existing stairs at lodge wings will be designed and replaced. Jenny Wiley State Resort Park emergency repairs. Jenny Wiley State Resort Park emergency repairs total $5.5 million. Phase 1 of the Project 1 focuses on Jenny Wiley's Lodge emergency repairs, addressing the urgent repairs identified in the report and is complete. Phase 2 involves major structural stabilization. Moving to the $71 million improvements, which was approved this session. The following slides will address the Department of Parks status of the $71 million for state park improvement projects, including building systems, accommodation hospitality, and recreational amenity upgrades. Building system improvements. Kentucky State Parks currently has an active capital project in process to replace the building automation systems at 5 park locations. These antiquated and failing systems control the heating, ventilation, and air conditioning systems in the lodge and other guest spaces at these parks. This upgrade will allow more precise control of those systems in order to respond to building temperatures changes automatically. This project also provides review of all major mechanical equipment, building envelope conditions, and other critical climate control operations. Other projects include replacement of failing cooling towers, chiller repairs and replacements at various parks. For example, Barren River chiller for the main lodge is being repaired for the remainder of the season and will be replaced prior to next cooling season. Life safety upgrades. Kentucky State Parks is currently engaged in a significant life safety project that centers around guest safety and security. This project involves the replacement of all guest room and primary lodge entrance access controls. This project includes all guest door key access points as well as key card access points to the main entrances. This project provides added safety and security enhancements for our guests and park staff. Estimated completion target is fall of 2025 for all resort parks. General Butler State Resort Park lock system has been completed, and the employees have commented positively about the improvements, which has eliminated visitor complaints about room key issues. Other life safety projects include updates and repairs to fire sprinkler systems at various parks across the state and major repairs to lodge elevators. Structural and safety repairs. All remaining structural packages to be submitted by the consulting firm on September 27th, coming right around our corner. ADA mobility improvements. Dale Hollow Pedestrian Bridges project is ready to advertise. Building system improvements. This slide highlights the EP Tom Sawyer pool repairs and interior upgrades at Lake Barkley. Accommodations and hospitality upgrades. This slide highlights furniture upgrades and mattress replacements at various state parks across the Commonwealth. The design consultant contract for improving accommodations in our parks has been awarded. Based upon the consultant recommendations and findings, the parks team will evaluate and prioritize based on the needs at each resort park and return on investment. The kickoff meeting was held yesterday at Rough River State Resort Park. Pool improvements and repairs. A consultant has been selected. $11.9 million was dedicated to upgrade recreational amenities. A number of park lodge pools and park community pools were constructed in the 60s and 70s. These decades-old structures are in need of major restoration, repair, and improvements to offer our guests and local communities the aquatic features expected. Beach refurbishment. $346,600 was dedicated to beach refurbishment. State park beaches are a major draw, allowing for recreation and enjoyment for guests of all backgrounds, but have suffered from overuse and underinvestment. This project would restore them to a better, safer condition. This will enhance all current operational beaches within Kentucky State Parks. The addition of sand has been completed at various beaches and will be reassessed in the spring for other beach locations that may need additional sand. Swimming rope barriers and buoys will be reviewed and replaced where needed. Guest areas will be evaluated for additional picnic tables and other appropriate beach amenities. Playground upgrades. $1.2 million is dedicated to playground upgrades. As you can see in this slide, the playgrounds that have been completed are being met with excitement by guests, especially the children. Many employees have relayed positive guest information about the new playgrounds that have been added thus far at some of the state parks. Here are the ones listed and you see right in front of us. Carter Caves, EP Tom Sawyer, Jefferson Davis, and Kentucky Dam Village have completed playground projects. Golf course improvements. $575,000 is dedicated to Lake Barkley and Kentucky Dam Village State Resort Park to convert the existing golf course greens to Bermuda grass. These projects have a proven track record of reducing maintenance costs and improving playability. $2.6 million will be used to repair bunkers and mitigate a number of earthwork slides that have developed at different locations throughout 12 golf course facilities. The project is critical to protect the existing investment made by the Commonwealth with the construction of the golf courses. Dam safety repairs. Penny Rowell Forest Dam's RFP is complete and the design firm is selected. Finance Facilities, DECA, is preparing the contract for Penny Rowell Forest State Resort Park dam repairs. The estimated construction start date is September 2025. In closing, the Kentucky State Park system consists of over 49,000 acres and is home to 44 state parks that serve as major tourist attractions and employers for many rural communities. Parks operations consist of 17 resort parks, 19 recreational parks, 8 historical sites, 1 rail trail, 1 state scenic trail, and Breaks Interstate Park, which we share with Virginia. I want to thank each of you and also remind you to come out and celebrate our 100th anniversary at our Kentucky State Parks. And we'll entertain questions at this time, Madam Chair.
Thank you all so very much for all of that information. My carryover question for the last group that they defer to you all, just for the benefit of the public watching. So for the roof repair or construction that had to be redone, the taxpayers were held harmless, that construction crew. bonded?
That's
or
what
whatever?
I can get back to you
Okay,
on that,
that
and,
would be
and the
good.
details of that, because I came in after that was that project was complete
Okay.
by the previous administration.
Right,
So,
right.
Yeah,
That would be
I can
great.
definitely check
Thank
on
you
that,
so
and
much.
we can get you an answer. Thank you.
Thank you. And Representative McPherson, do you have any initial questions? And then we have some from the members.
Yes, if you don't care. So I appreciate so much you coming before us and explaining and telling us kind of the holistic approach of the way you all have identified these projects. Just going forward, so the 79 million that you started with in 2023, do you have a percentage of complete that those are done yet or have been appropriated?
A big portion of that is our campground upgrades. 40 million of the 79 is the campground upgrades, and 20 million of that is our utility improvements. And those are all moving fast. The campgrounds, what we did with the campground monies is we split it up into east and west, and we hired for efficiency standards to streamline this process and expedite it. We hired a consultant for the west and a consultant for the east, and we're moving forward with those projects, and we feel really good about you all seeing those projects come to fruition in 2025, and a lot of great things happening in those campgrounds. So the utility portion, we're working on a grant to expand that money more than what you gave us. So that process is through federal government. It's more of a lengthy process, but will benefit us at the end of it. So we felt like it was worth, but we are moving forward, obviously with the finance cabinet and the energy environmental cabinet. So they're working with us hand in hand. We're meeting, as I said, with DECA and the finance cabinet twice a week, and we meet at least once a week with the energy environmental cabinet.
Were you able to take any of the internet expansion, the 6 million, and expand on it to any of the federal money that's come down through?
We have put that money in process. We've not gone the grant route on that. We've tried to get that expedited and put that in play as quick as we can. Because that's needed. I mean, that's really one of those expectations that was not there 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, I totally agree with kids, children my age. If you don't have it,
let's put it in play.
They're not going to do it.
Right.
So the 71 million, do you have it mostly appropriated out, or is it
The
still
71 million, as you know, Representative, was a part of the 150 million. And we did not get the 71 million until this past session.
Correct.
Although you all, had to do your due diligence, watch out for the taxpayers, and we appreciate that by holding off and doing it in 2 phases. I think that's a smart way of dealing with the taxpayers' money. And you also put an emergency clause on that, which allowed us to get started immediately when you voted on that bill, which was JR 56, I believe, is what that was.
I think you're correct, yes.
So we're putting a lot of that in play, as you can see from our report. The 27 million in building system improvements, the accommodation, 22 for the accommodations and hospitality upgrades, and the 22 million for the recreational amenities. 2025 is going to be a big year for all those projects. Although, the accommodation and hospitality upgrades will take a little while, because you have to also understand that we, as good stewards of the taxpayers' money and working for the people of the Commonwealth, we have to take a lot of these projects and do them in the off season, the construction part of it. Because we don't want to interrupt our revenue generation and those sources of revenues that we rely on within our budget and the budget that you all give us.
So going forward with that, would you all have numbers today that would say what you all were pre-COVID and where you've come back to, and we're at a 100-year anniversary? What are your numbers today? What are they looking like as far as participation, as far as visitations and income stream? Is your income going up or down, or where are we at with that?
Last year we had a great year. A revenue stream was up, It was up. I don't have a percentage. I was prepared to talk projects,
No, I
capital
understand.
projects.
I understand.
and
I just know that the
so
kind
I
of
can
reason
get
we're-
that to
yeah.
you.
No, yeah, I would appreciate
at any
that if you
time.
could.
Absolutely,
Yeah,
we can get that to
kind
you.
of look going forward for our,
Send it to
Yeah.
Representative King's office, and then she could distribute it. Is
Yeah,
is
that'd be
that
helpful.
fair
to,
enough?
Yeah, for budgetary purposes and going forward, we'd love to
Absolutely.
see where return on our investment, where we're going. So
Right.
back to talking a little bit about like maybe I'm like the 17 rooms down at Barren River that roof was put on, and then we keep going back to, and we keep getting mold in the rooms, and we keep getting them opened and closed again. We keep going back. It appears back to the same people to kind of fix the same problem.
Right.
So, what can be done about that? Well, in your perspective, in your leadership position, what can be done about that?
Well, I can tell you this. Within the last 2 years, we have hired fantastic people. You all have allowed us to up our pay for our staff members, and that has helped tremendously, bringing in the right team to get it done. I'm not out there, on these projects on a daily basis. I can tell you we have the right team. I have full confidence that we're going to alleviate issues like what you're saying about the 17 rooms. We had the same problem at Natural Bridge where we had that. So we're out there fighting the battles and alleviating the problems and setting our parks up for success for the future. And that's what this team will do. And you will see that in the next within the next 2 years. And as we put all this money that you all graciously gave us into play.
So Chair, just to kind of wrap up, the reason that I kind of brought this forward again, we're concerned about Barren River, as everybody's concerned about their state park and their area, and so everybody's, it's a holistic approach. We appreciate the fact that you all have identified projects. I saw 2 or 3, 4 or 5 things about emergency. Emergencies come up, emergencies happen, but we need to get hopefully past some of the emergencies and start getting back to getting some fixes that we can do in an approach where we can make investment instead of.
That's right.
We don't want to have to do everything by an emergency clause, because that's always never the most efficient way of doing any business. So going forward, we'd love to get those emergencies and get this stabilized some, and be able to get this done in a manner that we can have return on investment. Like you say, kind of been mentioned in here before. Be really proud of our parks, invite people, and let it be an economic driver in our areas. And I so appreciate your willingness to come forward, and I think that's pretty much what I need to say. And I'll turn it over and let anybody else have any questions, but I sure appreciate your time and you coming forward to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Representative.
Well, again, Representative McPherson, your topic has generated a lot of questions. First in the queue is Representative Massaroni.
Hi. Thank you, Commissioner. My question is, Mo Kentucky Home State Park, we actually generate a lot of money through our golf course, and I think we're one of the parks that's been really responsible with making, I think it's over $1 million per year. But our golf course needs a lot of work. And I know the money that we make goes into a general fund. We can't use that money to reinvest into our own park. Is there any plans? I didn't see anything on the line items for the golf course that generates so much money. Is there any plans to irrigation or anything that desperately needs done for a successful park?
Absolutely, and I
Okay.
appreciate your question. Truly appreciate it. That's our number one golf course in revenue and rounds produced. So that's a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful golf course. It's a great experience having the, opportunity to go play that golf course, my old Kentucky home. It's a big draw for the area, the region, and the state. We plan on big reinvestment in the irrigation system at my old Kentucky home, which is needed. And, the way we looked at all of this money, Representative, is we look, obviously our parks are in need. We've heard it from the judge, we've heard it from Representative Riley, and we're discussing it right here today, and we've been discussing it for the last 2 years. But we tried to put this money in play to build it from the ground up, and we've got to reinvest in a lot of infrastructure projects, and that's the irrigation system at that golf course is not something you're going to see, but it's going to keep that golf course revenue produce a big revenue producer for years to come because it's going to keep it beautiful.
Okay, so that is in the plans with this. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Representative Kulkarni.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Commissioner Meyer,
Yes.
right up front. And thank you for your team for being here and presenting to us today. I had two questions, if you don't mind, Madam Chair. The first is with regard to ADA compliance. I know in one of you've mentioned it a couple times in your presentation, but specifically the pedestrian bridge project at Dale Hollow. My question was along the lines of ADA compliance or just ADA accommodations in other parks. Just what does that look like? Is it mainly in terms of the lodging? Does it include sort of walkways, pathways, trails? I mean, I don't know what it generally looks like in all of our state parks, or is it only in specific ones?
I can give you a twofold answer on that. As you understand, the Dale Hollow project is that structure is already there. This is a reinvestment in that project to stabilize it, and so we can enjoy that for many years to come. Take the $40 million in the campground monies and the bathhouse renovation portion of that renovation and restoration. We're building new bathhouses. Say at my old Kentucky home, we're going to be building a new bathhouse at that campground. It will be ADA compliant. So anything new that we do, the playgrounds, all of them have ADA components in those playgrounds that we put in new. So that is number one on our list when we start a project. How are we going to implement the ADA, make it better for any component of this monies that we're spending? At our resort parks, all of our parks, for any of these components.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. And
Yes,
my
ma'am.
second question is, along with the state funding that we provide to parks, what other types of funding do you get? Do you get federal money just for parks, again, specifically? Do you get, or is it also revenue generated by fees? Just kind of what is the general breakdown of
Revenue
that?
generated by fees and our good friends sitting in this room.
What's the breakdown, about 60, 40, 70, 30?
It's less than 60-40. It's more, I would call it 55-45, 50-50 some. It's around in those.
In that ballpark? All
In
right.
that ballpark.
All right. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Of course. Representative Dotson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Commissioner, for showing up today.
Yes, sir.
I got a specific question that affects our area, and it also affects Representative Bill Wesley and Representative Frazier concerning Fort Boonesboro.
Yes.
And I worked specifically with Chairman Chris Fugit during the interim last year, trying to get into the budget to get that pool repaired.
Yes.
And I'm getting a lot of questions from constituents concerning when that process, because we know we got a couple $1 million to get that pool restored. So I can go back and tell my constituents what is the timeline there in getting that pool restored, because there is a lot of excitement generated, because that is such a very vital area. People come from all over the nation to camp there. And so I just kind of wanted to see why I have you here, what does that look like?
Well, I love it. Thank you for asking that question, Representative Dotson. As you heard in our presentation, we just hired the consultant for the pools. We have 11.7 million that we're appropriating for our pools. As we're getting into that, I can just tell each and every one of you that the pool monies is not going as far as what we thought it was going to go a couple years ago. So we're looking at the pool portion of this appropriation. We're going to wait and see what the consultant brings back to us, what the needs are out there. Fortunately, Representative McPherson, we had Barren River Lake State Resort Park, the pool closed down there, and we were down there meeting at the park about a month ago, and Senator Higdon was down there, and got to see him, and he was asking. His family was there for a week on vacation, and obviously disappointed that the pool was closed down. He did tell me they had a great time at the park, and the people were great, but with that one is going to be completed this fall and open, and everything fixed. What happened with that project, we got into it, we were fixing what we thought was the problem, and ran into 4 more problems. And said, we need to just do this right, fix it right. So we went all in and had to bite the bullet and obviously close the pool down, which was devastating to us, to your community. So we're going to look and see what the consultant brings back to us, see how the monies can be laid out. Right now we're too early in that process to commit and say Fort Boonesboro is going to get this much money, or this park is going to get this much money. We have to see what they say, how we can appropriate that money best in our park system. And I can assure you this, we'll come back to you with a report, and we'll let you know, the decisions we make and why we make them in a very understandable way. And we'll move forward hopefully before this session, so you can go to bat for your constituents. And if we do need more monies for our pools out there or any areas of our parks, you can go to bat for your communities and your constituents during our legislative session. So thank you.
Quick follow-up.
Yes, please proceed.
So would it be safe to say that 2026 would be out of the question before we could get that pool up and going? Or do you think, how fast will that report come back to let us know?
That pool is going to take a lot of money. I don't know that it's been open for 5 or 6 years, is from what my understanding. So that will be, it would. If it was on the list, I would say it would be a lengthy project to get that one completed. So it wouldn't be until 26 if it was even on our list of how we appropriate the 11.9 million.
So
if that answers your question.
So is it too much to ask to get, once you get that report, to have that report emailed to me so I can have something to share with my constituents?
Once we get that done and we make that appropriation, would it be right protocol? We would have it sent from the Secretary's office to Representative King's office, and then we can get it to you that way.
Thank you.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the question, and I don't mean to be vague. I just don't know. We're in that process, working every day for you.
Thank you, Russ. Yes, that would be the correct protocol. Just email to me, and our wonderful staff will help distribute it to everyone. Thank you.
Right.
Representative Freeland.
Thank you. Just a quick question, a comment. Commissioner Meyer has always been great to work with. He's one of the few that'll answer my calls, so I appreciate that. A question on, I know you'd mentioned some of the utility upgrades. Has that work started, like at Kentucky Dam and Lake Barkley, and kind of where are we on that as far as the actual work?
The actual work on the ground has not started. As I said, we're getting federal grant monies right now, but that is high priority and number one on the utility list, because as you all know, think about this, our biggest state park, Kentucky Dam Village, was closed the previous year 32 days due to outages. So that's high priority.
Okay.
So thank you, Representative.
Just a quick comment. And also, if the state park could work more with like the local media and local communities as far as just giving them updates on some of these upgrades and also just events going on. I know they used to be really good about that, and that's, I know things change, but I think as a local community, we'd be great advertisers for the state parks.
Well, thank you. And if I could comment on that,
Please.
Ms. Chair. What we have tried to do, and we have done this at 2 or 3 different parks. Barren River Lake State Park was one of them. We had a meeting where we met with the mayor, the judge, the Chamber of Commerce folks, the representatives, the senators, and sat around a table and just talked about this right here, what we're doing at that park, the issues that are at that park, and how we can improve those issues. So, yes, we will be coming, but with 44 of them, it takes a little while, and our priorities right now have been these projects and expediting the process of getting these projects out and moving. And, during the winter months, you'll be seeing us. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Senator Wheeler.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Commissioner Meyer, I've enjoyed working with you as well. I've found your team to be very responsive, and I appreciate a lot of the work that you've done in my district. I guess I want to go back a little bit to, again, something the judge testified about and Representative McPherson talked about, I guess these 17 rooms with mold in them in the room, and you have to try to go at it multiple times. And I sit on the Capital Projects Committee too, and that seems like that's something we hear about all the time, that the state builds one of these projects, and then I think I could particularly think of a veterans nursing home that had an air conditioning unit put in it or climate control, and it was supposed to last 20 years. 8 years later, they're back wanting $20 million for a new climate control, and they said, well, the building, it was never really a good fit for us in the first place. And I'm thinking, why is it that the state doesn't take action against some of these people when they don't give us, my question is, well, why didn't you sue? Well, I don't know, they basically let these people get paid multiple times to do the same work instead of demanding the quality or the workmanship in the first place. What actions do you think the state can do to hold these people more accountable when they give us substandard work?
And understand this. Parks, we facilitate, operate, and run our parks. The finance cabinet actually owns all the properties in the state, and is on that end of it. We're working with them on all these. I'm not running away from your question, but with the 17 rooms that have mold in them, that is why we have appropriated $22 million for accommodation upgrades.
But there
So-
again, the taxpayers paying for something that we've really already paid to fix.
Well,
and maybe it is the finance cabinet that we need to be talking to as to why do they not assert, the rights on behalf of the citizens of the Commonwealth to get what they pay for,
Right.
And there are courts of law that you can do that in. Yeah, like I said, I'm not trying to pick on you. I understand you just have an operation to run, but it seems like we hear about these things all the time, and the only people that end up footing the bill for all of it are the taxpayers and not the people that actually got paid to do the work.
I understand that, and it's our job to stand up for the taxpayers and run our parks efficiently, handle these projects efficiently, streamline them. So I can assure you this: our parks team, finance DECA team, the people that we work with daily are doing that, and will do that throughout these projects and alleviate those problems in the future. So, Scotty Baker and Sam Ruth, our commissioner over in the finance cabinet of DECA, do a fantastic job. They're on these projects. They're working with us. They've really taken a big step forward to streamline and work these to ensure that these projects get on the ground and get moving. It's a top priority. And so I think the future will tell on that then.
Representative All.
Thank you, Ms. Chairman. Thank you, Commissioner, for coming again. I'm on both this committee and the BR sub for economic development and tourism. I feel like you guys testify in front of us probably 4 or 5 times a year, so I appreciate your thoroughness and your professionalism. I've got a little bit of a statewide question. I unfortunately do not have a state park in my district, but I care about the state parks as everybody on this committee does. The procurement process, we've talked about local contractors and counties and, you know, the state parks. And, you know, wouldn't it be great if we hired local people on our community to do these jobs? But way I understand the procurement process, that may not be possible. Is it not at the discretion of the finance cabinet, and part of the statute is they have to take the lowest priced quality bid that is submitted? Is that not part of the process?
And a part of the process is obviously having a consultant hired, having design done, putting an RFP out for the project, hiring a contractor to do the project, and following up on that project. You know, it is a cumbersome process, but we are, as I said, DECA, Sam Ruth, Scotty Baker, our team with SWAT and Mike Hammond, we're moving these as fast as we can, as fast as the process allows us to. We're pushing them and moving them.
And I think that's my point into the comments for the judge and others on this committee. The process is as it stands because of the laws that we have passed. Mm-hmm. If we want to change the process, we need to change the statute. That's on us. Mm-hmm. We're at fault if we don't agree with the process that we have put in place for our finance cabinet and our parks department to follow. Number two, I do want to go on record with the Senator Wheeler from Pike that I do think that prevailing wages back in our state park projects would produce a better outcome. So I agree with that comment. So I'm glad to see we have some bipartisan support for prevailing wage. I think we are getting, the product that we pay for. And if we would pay some of our workers and our professional construction people to make a prevailing wage, make a good living, we'd have a better outcome. So I do support that as well. And, I think it's important. I think you mentioned this, but we've talked about this roof thing and these 17 rooms. Could you tell me when the original construction on that happened? I think you said it was in the previous administration. What year did that occur?
That was, can I back up real quick
go ahead.
too? I just want to give everybody an educational component just to wrap your head around with parks and the projects that we have, and then I'll go right to that one. Currently, we have approximately, I think, and SWAT could correct me, but I think we have right around 320 capital projects going in parks only right now. That does not include the $150 million that you've given us or the HB6 line items that you gave us last session. So we've got a lot to move, and I really do feel like that you all are going to be impressed with how quick we get them done. We're on it. So, but back to your other question then. What was the question? Oh, what year? 2018, there was an appropriation of $50 million, I believe. I was in the House at that time, and I believe that was the year, Representative King, that we appropriated monies for parks to do improvements, and I think that was a part of that. And obviously didn't get completed until 19 and into 20, So
I use that to illustrate that these projects take a long time.
They take
we're 6 years later, and you guys have come to us multiple times since I've been in the General Assembly for asking for certain amounts of monies and projects, and we funded part and delayed part, funded part again, and every time we decide as a General Assembly to delay, it makes these things like the pools that we want to do a whole lot more expensive. So we're being penny wise and pound foolish. In my opinion, we need to come to us with a full list of the priority projects we want to get done for our constituents and fund the request. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Representative McPherson, thank you again for drafting this very lively conversation and our wonderful agenda today. Do you have any closing comments?
Just again, thank you for coming before us. I appreciate it. I appreciate your, being very forthcoming of the projects we've got. I think as talked about here, and I think the biggest issue is nobody ever likes to go lick their calf twice. So these projects that we are doing, if we can get them done right the first time, it'll sure help the process. That's for sure, because going backwards and backwards and backwards just seems to get more expensive, and then everybody wonders who's on the bill for paying for it, and it just really frustrates everybody. So everybody knows that things need to get done. We just need to get them done as expediently and right the first time as we can. And so I really appreciate that. I would take a point of personal privilege as we're leaving here to say I want to send out prayers to Senator Turner for to be getting better. I think we got a good report from him today, and then want to wish our chair a happy birthday today. It's her birthday today, right. So wish her a happy birthday. So I appreciate that.
Sing. Birthday.
Well, I would like to personally thank the panelists at the table, all of your team that are here with us today, and the one in each of the parks holding down the fort. Old Fort Herod pun intended there, but we appreciate your work today and every day. Our next meeting is scheduled for October the 24th, same time, 1 p.m. And if there is no further business